everybody, it's Shanna with Homeschooling Simplified, and I've got Matt with me this evening. Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Matt Nicholson, mayor of Seymour, Indiana. I've lived here my whole life and enjoy being the mayor.
And so we got a couple questions. First one is, how long have you been in this position or industry or field?
Started January 1st of 2020, so I picked a great year to get rolled right into everything. I actually served on city council for 4 years prior to that, though, so I did have some government experience before running for mayor and getting elected.
And what's a typical work day like for you?
Well, they vary from day to day, but a normal day is I'm up and at it bright and early, and if nothing else, I'm checking emails and getting ready for the day. And I'm usually in the office by 8 a.m., give or take an hour. And some days it's 7, some days it's 9, but typically I'm there pretty early for what I was used to. I come from the small business side where I didn't get to work till about 10 a.m. before. But in the course of a normal day, it may end at 5 o'clock, but a lot of times I'll have a 7 o'clock meeting or a 6 o'clock meeting and something going on after hours, if you will. And I gave up trying to figure out what my hours actually were quite a while ago already because I probably don't want to know how many hours a week I spend.
Well, I know that I appreciate it, all those hours you spend, because I know you're working hard for our community. So thank you for that.
Not a problem.
What do you like best or least about your job and why?
Let's start with the positive. So I like the fact that I get to be involved with helping Seymour become a better place, helping it grow, helping making sure that it includes everybody as we look at the next steps and make sure we don't exclude anybody in the process. The least part is my wife and I were actually discussing this one a minute ago, and it's probably everybody that's bound to determine there's some sort of conspiracy theory that goes on. We're not trying to mess with anybody. We want to make Seymour be the best it can be. And, you explain a topic to somebody. I always love it when people ask questions, but then every now and then you've got that one that's like, no, really, what does that? No, there's no really to it. We'll explain it to you. We'll teach you how it works and try our best to make sure it's understandable.
Yep. What led you to this current career or job?
So back when I was 18 years old, which has been a day or two now, if you can't tell by all the gray hairs, I had an employer, and he encouraged me to be involved in the community. He wanted me to join boards, go volunteer, be a part of Seymour and a part of a better Seymour. So I would go out and I would be, serve on a board or help with like Kids Fest Bike Rodeo or things like that. And that was a lot of fun for me. And it just made it pretty easy for me to stay involved. And, I've spent 20 plus years being a volunteer. That led to a job as a director of a nonprofit agency. And as time went by, I joked when I was 18 that I would run for mayor when I was 50. And I'm not quite there yet, but I decided it was time to go ahead and make that run. And here I am now serving as mayor.
Oh, wow. What type of interests, abilities, and skills would help a person to be successful in your occupation?
I think you have to first be willing to listen. And in the course of being willing to listen, you also have to be open to new ideas. Not everybody's going to agree with exactly what you say or vice versa, but you still have to hear what's being said, try your best to understand it, ask questions if you don't understand it, and then turn around and be able to make the best decisions based on that information that's coming in. Another thing that I'm really proud of was I was involved in starting Toastmasters here in Seymour. And Toastmasters is an international organization, and the local chapter here has 9 different nationalities on a regular basis, which I'm pretty proud to be a part of. But that speaking skill that you learn from Toastmasters is very valuable in what I do.
What type of education, training, or even technical knowledge or experience is necessary to actually be mayor?
None of it is technically required, but it's good to have a solid base. I mean, I spent 20 plus years in small business, so I understand budgets from having to deal with my own budget, and I don't care how many zeros a budget's got on it. If you can manage to get by on $1,000 budget and make it work, that's a lot like working on $1 million budget or a $20 million budget in the city's case. Once you doing those things really helped me, but I'm also one of those that I like to learn every day. If I can learn something new, it's a good day for me. And, I look back in history, and as I think about it, grandpa taught me lessons, grandma taught me lessons.
Hmm.
But, I did go to college. I earned an associate's degree from Ivy Tech. Went on and did the Municipal Management Institute a couple years ago when I started on council, so I have a better understanding of this side of things. And to me, that's all enjoyable stuff, but there's technically nothing required, but it's a solid base to have. And I know when I
Hmm.
look for employees, if I see that a degree, even if it's not what you're interviewing for, I know you stuck with it, and I know you're willing to work to get to the end.
Yeah. Yep. And what advice would you give a student interested in, working with the city or maybe even possibly becoming mayor someday themselves?
First thing I would encourage is be patient. Get out there, get your name out, start getting involved, volunteer for stuff. Everybody can use a volunteer. The Jackson County United Way has a person that is in charge of trying to recruit volunteers. Reach out to Benita up there and say, hey, I want to do this. Even if you're not doing it through United Way, find somebody though, get in volunteering and be a part of something. Work your way through the process, get to know people. That'll all lead long term to having a better shot at serving in city government, or serving as mayor, whether it's council or mayor or whatever your goals or aspirations could be, or even above if you're so interested.
Hmm. What type of starting position and salary would someone entering this type of work be most likely to find?
It kind of depends on where you consider the start in this one. So if you look at it like from the path that I took, if you start on city council, you make about $6,000 a year, which it is a part-time job. It doesn't pay a lot. But that, to me, that was the proper step for me to go on to become mayor, was to do that for 4 years or even longer. Um, so you would kind of start there. Once you get to my side, you're in the 70,000 range. And it's it's get to the mayor's side, you're in the $70,000 range. And I would encourage anybody that gets to this side, the money's nice, but definitely don't get involved just for that. Get involved because you love your community and you really want to see things change for the positive. And then you'll have a better opportunity, if you will, to really make a difference in your hometown.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Do you have to depend on others in order to accomplish your job, or do you work in team settings, or is it kind of both?
It really is a little bit of everything. I have 7 department heads. And once you get them all together, then that spreads out to 200 plus employees. And as you're working with those different members of your team, then they're going out and working with an even broader team. So it takes a team aspect to accomplish anything positive in the world of city government. For example, right now the leaves are falling this time of year. It takes 3 to 6 guys a day to get out and get those leaves backed up. And it's a good thing that they're getting it done, because as soon as it rains, it starts clogging up drains. But we wouldn't be able to do that by ourselves. There's no way, even though I've been out and participated in it, there's no way that one person could accomplish it. So you've got to have those skills to be able to trust your team, rely on your team, and also encourage your team along the way, and show them that you're a part of it. Let them realize that they're a part of the bigger picture. And once everybody sees a positive direction going forward, it's good for all of us, whether it's citizens or team members or the mayor.
Hmm. Are there certain times of the month or year that are busier than other times?
So we were really thinking hard about this question a minute ago. This is a good question. There are weeks out of the month, and for whatever reason, the third week of the month seems like I've always got a bunch of after hours meetings. And it's not a huge deal, but once you've missed your family 4 nights in a row, it kind of hits you a little bit. You really appreciate Friday night dinner with them at that point.
Hmm.
So that third week is always my toughest every month. Now, as far as times of the year, yes, you have different topics, but year round is pretty much the same hectic schedule that it always is. There was a comment made at a mayor's meeting a couple weeks ago that basically said that mayors would probably be diagnosed with ADD if they're not. And when you really think about it, I walk out of one meeting talking about storm sewers, walk into the next meeting talking about the next police officer we need to hire, walk into the next meeting looking at $1 million+ fire truck that's on the production line. So you jump from topic to topic, and it really is good if you're that personality that can go from subject to subject. It works really well. But with that in mind, there's no particular one moment of the year that's way worse than the others. Of course, I say that December's not here yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, you've almost made it through that all the seasons this year.
We're getting close. It felt
Yeah.
like they were all going to hit in 1 week.
What are the opportunities for advancement in this occupation?
So, I mean, realistically, you could advance on up the ladder. You know, we're still watching a presidential race pan out right now. I mean, you could do whatever you want. I know for me, you know, this is kind of the peak of the hill for me. I was interested in serving our community. You know, I love America and I really like Indiana, but I absolutely love our town. You know, Seymour is the place I want to be. It's the place I want to see get better. So for me, I've kind of hit the top of the hill. What happens from here, I'm not sure. I mean, anything is possible, but you could really take this any direction you wanted to, whether it's being a staffer, you know, at the state level, whether it's being you know, I know a mayor from Jasper that I'm friends with. He took a job working for a U.S. congressman. One of my fellow mayors just took a job working for Okra here in Indiana. What'll happen there is he's now going to be the one that helps us get grants through our local communities to be able to do major projects. And I'm excited to see that for him. That's Mayor Spinner down in Huntingburg. And so there's really lots of opportunities to work hard, show what you've got going on, and then potentially move on up the ladder, if you will, and move into something that's a little more secure, because in all reality, you know, mayors could be here for 4 years and gone. So you never know.
And what part-time jobs or internships or extracurricular activities would best prepare you for being mayor? I know we touched a few of those topics, but is there anything that might not have been mentioned that you could think of?
So if you watch some of the communities, and we're actually working on this locally here, do offer an internship in City Hall. We're exploring the idea now, trying to get the fine details worked out. Rushville right now has a great program, and we're working our hardest to duplicate it and make it a solid program for the city of Seymour. So internships like that are a good thing. When you get into the part-time jobs, I'm going to use Dr. Fish from Schneck as my example. Dr. Fish mowed grass a summer or two at Schneck. He worked his way up from the bottom. Now he's the CEO of Schneck. So I would encourage anybody, you know, there's nothing wrong with coming in and taking the part-time weekend person to do ball fields for Park and Rec. There's nothing wrong with coming in and being a grass mower, you know, as a temp for DPW. You get in there and you get your hands dirty and you learn a little bit about it in the process, and you see it from the inside. And I think it helps you realize whether you really want to be there or not, because even though I get most of the phone calls, you're going to see a lot of them in even those part-time jobs.
We love Dr. Fish. He actually delivered our son. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That was he was one of our daughter's doctors also.
Yes.
We've got 3 daughters, and we managed to have 3 different doctors in the course of them.
And did you see yourself being mayor when you were growing up, when you were a young child?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when I was 18, I can remember shaking hands with a city employee actually that I knew at Oktoberfest. It was right outside of City Hall, and I shook his hand and I said, "Nicholson for mayor 2027, I think was the year I told him."
Wow.
Because the next year, late 2027, I would turn 50. So that's why I had thrown it out there that way. And like I said, in my mind, growing up, mayors were always in their 50s and 60s. Mayor Ludeman was the first one that I really remember being younger, and he was in his 30s. And when I started, I was in my 40s. So yeah, I kind of did. I didn't realize my wife remembered that until we started the campaign cycle last year. And then she was reminding me of telling the story, and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't think anybody else caught that. So yeah, I've always kind of wanted to serve as mayor. Just didn't exactly know how to do it for a lot of years, and spent a lot of years raising a family and, you know, growing a business. And then in turn, Last year, I decided it was really time to hit the trail to try to become mayor.
That is such an awesome story. This is a little bit of a different question, but what are your hobbies?
What are my hobbies? Well, the blurred out background behind me is bicycle related stuff. Uh, for 17 years, I owned my own bike shop, so I love to ride, still enjoy skateboarding. It's a little rougher on my ankles than what it used to be, but it's still fun. Um, I still enjoy fishing occasionally, but I don't do it near as much as I used to. And then coaching my daughter's softball team is actually one of the things that I probably enjoy the most right now. And I know that time is short lived. She's playing 18U and only got another season or two left. But I'll look back with a decade's worth of fond memories related to coaching kids from our community and other communities, and trying to help them grow into being the best people they can be.
And for our last question, what advice or encouragement can you give for any students seeking to be a mayor or work for the city?
I would encourage you to remember to be patient. Nothing happens overnight. You've got to tackle it, got to look at it, and got to stick with it. You're not always going to win the first race you run. Start with whatever it is, whether it be city council or even the county coroner, or whatever it is that you aspire to be. Just be patient. Let it run its course. None of us started as the CEO of a corporation or the mayor of a town or anything else. And if you do that, you'll go a long way in life in general. I mean, you've always got to get up, dust yourself off, take that next step and do it all over again.
Yep, yep. I totally agree with all of that. Thank you so much, Matt, for taking some time out this evening to go over these questions with us. If anybody has any questions for Mayor Matt that we didn't cover, just comment, let me know, reach out to me, and I'll make sure those questions get to him and we'll get those answered for you. Thanks
Yep, be
so
glad
much,
to.
Matt.